Hey everyone, my name is Christopher Bussa, also known as Gaming Buddhist. Thanks for checking out ProStream for 5th edition. I'm going to break this video down into 3 sections, the first being what ProStream is and what it can do for you. Secondly, I'm going to show you ProStream in action. And finally, we're going to go over how to set up and install the application, and I'll walk you through how I set up this overlay on Streamlabs OBS. ProStream is a Fantasy Grounds extension and Windows application that let you bring live data from Fantasy Grounds directly to your stream autonomously. It's a nice hands-off approach that gives viewers a more game-like feel and makes watching a lengthy combat much more interesting for them. With all the options I give you, it's easy to set up a more professional-looking stream, which leads to more followers and more people that may be interested in subscribing to you. I've included 6 custom-built overlays for 2 to 7 players, and all the individual elements I used, plus a few more if you want to create something customized for yourself. I give you access to way more than just these combat stats, so the possibilities are really endless in what you can do with them. If your characters are going shopping, you could have a scene that shows how much money they have, their skills at persuasion, intimidation, and pickpocketing. During a break, you could show condensed character sheets for the players. It's really up to you. Alright, we're going to show you just a little bit of how this works. So, I'm just going to attack here. So that's definitely a hit. So we should see Hawk's temporary HP go down. Possibly it might bite into her health. So 11. So that should adjust down. Yeah, see that's now down to 1. Alright, and then let's make another attack. Yep, that's gonna hit. Some more damage. And we should see that adjust again. So this time it knocked off some of her health and temporary was reduced down to 0. If we're playing with effects, I can, so if I target everybody here, yeah, everyone's targeted, I can say entangle them, which will restrain them. And we should see restrained effects on everybody. Once I end my turn, it'll finish updating for Yahtzee there. There we go. Alright, so if the characters decide to hit people, they can do that. But I more want to show you what this can do. So as you can see up here in this top left corner, it'll actually update the monster stats. So it'll show you like their HP, their temporary HP, their armor class, as well as their initiative. We can re-roll initiative here. Roll all initiatives. And when I change turns, you should see everyone's initiative right over here. Should all update. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Definitely a huge pro for streamers, as it shows pretty much live data. Now the way it works, when HP is adjusted and you have your combat tracker open, it'll update. When effects are applied, it'll update, or at least halfway. The best way to ensure that everything switches over is ending a turn. So once you go down and end a turn, it'll for sure pick up any changes. Alright guys, we're going to be setting up ProStream. So you're going to start out with these 4 files. We've got an overlays.zip file, a ProStream setup guide, the ProStream application, and the ProStream extension. So first thing we're going to do is get this ProStream extension into your extensions folder. So go to wherever your extensions folder is. Mine's in FG modules. And we are going to drag and drop that into there. Next thing we're going to do is launch Fantasy Grounds and make sure that you have the extension selected when you go to start your campaign, or this is not going to work. So I've got my campaign preloaded, and you just want to open the combat tracker, and that's going to generate the next set of files that we need to do this. Alright, so we can minimize that. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go to the main storage place where you installed Fantasy Grounds and to your program files. Go under SmiteWorks, Fantasy Grounds, and there's going to be this new ProStream folder in there. You click on that, click on 5e, you should see sheets.xml and tracker.xml, and we're just going to put the program right into that folder. This is where I always make a shortcut that's going to speed up launching the program so you don't have to go all the way back into this folder to find it again. I like to just drag it right onto my desktop for easy access. Next thing you're going to do is run that program, and it's going to come up with this right here, and we should see a nice data has been saved. And that's going to generate these 2 folders inside ProStream. The one that we want to use is data, and that's going to contain all of your players as well as the active enemy data. There's tons that you can use. Basically, your imagination is the limit. Alright, last thing I'm going to be going over is how I set up the overlay. So, I'm in Streamlabs OBS. This is my preferred layout for it. And we're going to add the overlay. So we're going to go and add an image. I've already got it in here, but I'll show you what I do. As far as naming sources goes, I feel like it's really important to name them all properly so that it's not confusing what you're doing later. So let's call it 4-person overlay. Add a source. Browse for the source. Now I've got them all on my desktop. So we are going to select the 4-player campaign. There it is. And click done. So that's the first step. Next, we want to add some info. So the way we're going to be doing this, we're just going to set up 1 player, and then once everything is perfectly in place, we're going to copy that to the rest and then change where it's drawing from. It's a lot easier than doing it all individually. So we're going to add another source. We're going to go text. Of course, all my stuff's in here already. So let's call it first player name. Okay. And for their name badges, I personally like to use, let's see if I can find it here. It's called Lithos, I think. find it in here. Lithos Pro Regular. There we go. So we're going to add that. I just know what size I want it. 24 for the players. And we're going to make it read from a file. So this is where the magic comes in. And we're going to select our file. So we go C, Program Files. Oh, sorry. Mine's in D. D, Program Files. Smiteworks, Fantasy Grounds, ProStream, Data, Player 1. Alright, once you're in here, it's going to navigate back here the next time you go in, so that's nice. Alright, we want Player 1's name. So go under Name, Continue, and here we go. Now also in here, so I use 24 as my setting. We want it to be black. Okay, oh, I closed that too early. We go down and I use custom text extents. And we're gonna go the height as 50. Oh, 50. The width as 300. And we're going to make sure that is centered. Alright, so now I like to line it up with the little heart at the top there. And to fine tune it, you can use your arrow keys up and down. And I just like to put it on the bottom half of the banner because I like the effect, or the class and level to go above that. So there we go. We've got a name configured. Now we're going to add a new source. Text source. New source. And we're going to go first player, class, and level. So this is the only one that I actually changed the font on. Feel free to do whatever you like if you find a font that looks better. We're going to do that. I just keep it at Arial. I'm pretty sure I have it at 18 here. Read from file. And we want class and level combined. Okay. And we want it to be black. And use custom extents. And let's do 350. I said 50. There we go. And we want to center it. Okay, and then we take that down. And the reason I am making it the custom extents is so that when we copy this and paste it into here, everything is going to line up perfectly no matter how long this is. So that is why we're doing this. Okay, so we have their class and level. Next thing up, let's start doing these stat blocks. So it gets easier as we go because we can start copy pasting things. So add a new text source, first player, strength. Okay, this I believe is 14. I go black. Use custom extents, centered. Let's do 40 by 40. And I forgot read from file. And we're going to go strength. You could do strength bonus as well if that's what you want to do. Alright, see, that is too small. So we're going to go in there, bump that up to the 18. Alright, now as far as lining it up, I like to bring it down to the words and then go up from there. Really, you can click off of it to see if it's in the perfect spot. Alright, here's where things get easier. We can do Control-C to copy that. And when we paste it, whoops, copy, Control-C, Control-V to paste, and we can just slide this down. It's not doing it automatically. Hold on. Alright, just drag that down, line it up, bring it up to where you want it. Control-C, Control-V, bring that one down, line it up with the words, and bring it up to where you want it. And we can select all three. If you select one and then hit Control, so you hold down Control and you select the other ones, you select all of them. Copy those three, paste them, and just pick one of them to line up with the words, and then bring it up to where the other ones are. Okay, so now we have stat blocks, except all of these are named the same, and obviously they're gathering from the same element, which we don't want. So try to find your first one. It should be the bottom one there. We're going to go up one, right click, right click, go to rename. We're going to name it Dex. Next one, we're going to rename Con. This may seem like a pain, but believe me, in the future, if you ever have to change any of this stuff, it's going to come in super handy because you'll know what's what. Wisdom. And charisma. Okay, then we have to change where they're coming from. So if we go to dexterity, browse for dexterity, open, done. And we did the same thing for constitution. Intelligence. Wisdom. And charisma. Okay, so now we have all of those values. If one seems a little bit off, you can bump it over, or bump it up or down, whatever way it seems off. You want to line all these up as perfectly as you can on one of them, so that when you copy and paste them over to the next ones, everything, like, you don't have to do anything else other than change where they're coming from. Alright, so now we need HP, temp HP, AC, and initiative. So I like to start with one of these, copy, paste, drag it up here. I'm going to rename that to first player current HP. And we're going to find current HP from there. And we're going to change the color to white. There we go. Now we do want to line that up. So just bump it to where you would like it. That looks good to me. And we copy that one, paste it, and if we use the arrow keys, we can just move it directly over. There we go. We want this to be max HP. There we go. And we will rename this max HP. Alright, copy and paste that one. Move it on over. A little further. And that's going to be our temp HP. So let's rename this temp HP and get that from this list. Copy. Oops. Did I copy it? No. Copy, paste. Move that over to armor class. You see the trend here. Armor class, copy, paste, move this over to initiative. And select that from here. Okay, so now that this player is all set up, make whatever final adjustments you want. Like I like to make sure everything's spaced the same. And then we are going to add one more thing. I like the effect to be up top here. So we can take this druid one, copy, paste it, and just shift it into place with the arrow keys. Once again, I like to line it up with that little heart because I did center that in the frame. Alright, and then we go up to this copy. We'll rename it first player effects. And we want that to be white. And we want it to come from effects. There we go. So that'll disappear if there's no effects on the player, but if you've lined it up using Druid, you won't have any problems. Alright, click done. I trust that it's there. Alright, now while that is selected, we want to grab all the other stuff. So hold down Control. Hold down Control and start selecting things. You can, while holding down Control, if you select something improperly, you can click it again and it'll unselect it without deselecting the rest of your stuff. Alright, so we have everything in there. We're going to copy and paste it. And we're going to move it over to the next one. And once again, I would line up with one of the statistics. So like I'm using Constitution right there, and I line it up so that the words are where they were before, and then I bring that up to, now I'm looking at the the health where all that is, making sure that that is about the same. Alright, that's good. Now we're going to copy and paste that. Another thing you can do is just, you can hold the right arrow key and it's going to slowly move everything over. But you know that it's lined up vertically at least, and you just have to line it up horizontally. Or the other way around. Problem with this way is that I'm not as sure about where I'm lining it up. Oh yeah, you can see the heart. If you've lined up with the heart, you can use the effect box to line back up with that heart. Copy that one, paste it, and we will shift it again using the same right arrow key method. Now sometimes if you hold this long enough, it can go past where you wanted it to go. I've had that happen. So just be wary. Alright, so lined up with the heart again. And now we have 4 duplicates of player 1. So this is the part that's a little more time consuming. But we want to basically go through all of this, rename all of these to be the second player, third player, fourth player of each of these. And then, so I'll show you what that means. So we're going to rename that to player 2. And then you can go in there and instead of clicking browse, just go over here and see where it says player 1, just change that to player 2 and hit done. And that will automatically go into that folder and select that information. So just a bit of a hack to get around selecting each one, because yeah, we want to save time here. So you don't have to rename all of these, but I mean, for the little bit of time that it's going to take to do it, and by little I mean an okay amount of time, it's going to save you some frustration later when you want to grab that from this list here. So we do that, we go into each of these, scroll over, change this to a 2, scroll over, change this to a 2. If you do all of these at once, you get really quick at it. So try to do one thing at a time. If you're going to rename everything, rename them all. If you rename it and then change this, you just don't do it quite as fast. Oops, so I added a slash there. Make sure you don't type things wrong or it's not going to work. For the sake of time, I'm only going to do one more player because I don't want this video to last forever. Like, this is the last player I'm doing. Okay. So we have a second player done. Like I said, you should probably rename all these and then do all that. Let's do the active enemy up here. So we're going to create a new source, text. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. let's copy this stuff because that's easier. So, yeah, let's take the effect first, copy it, paste it. And I like the effect to be along this bottom here. Okay, and then let's do the name. The current health. The max health. Once again, it's just Control C and Control V are the keyboard shortcuts I'm using for this. AC. Or no, that's the temporary hit points. Armor class. The initiative. Strength. The only reason I'm copying these from the individual stat blocks, it's just so that they're named already when I go to edit them. It's really the only reason. You could copy them from up here. It might be easier. Alright, so we're going to put all of this stuff up here. We want to make sure that we change the color of these to white. So like I said, I like to do like one task all at once. So feel free to like just take one of these at a time and customize it individually. Another thing I like to do for the enemy stats, I like to make it 24 in size, just because the boxes are a little bit bigger to actually fit that. And then once that is there, we can browse for active enemy, and that is intelligence. Oh, so that's another thing. If you do change it to the active enemy, if there is no active enemy, it's going to be blank. So that's why it's really good to set everything up as like the player first, like using the player's stats, because now I can't see what I'm doing. So just use the player stats to actually get everything situated. So you do that, you do the same technique. I like to line it up with the name and then go up from there using these nice little guidelines to tell you where it is. And if you need to adjust it, you can do that. For the name, you are going to want to change the size of the box, because if they've got a really long name, you can actually have it wrap. And I'll show you how to do that. So instead of 300, let's go, I think 100? No, more than that. 200. Less than that. 150. 150 looks good. And see how the name is wrapping already? So we line it up in here. And change the color to white. And we also, looks like we need to change the size down one. There we go. You can change the size down. You can lower it one more if you would like. That way you guarantee that everything is going to fit on there. But you don't have to. So once again, you line everything up. And once everything is all lined up and positioned, and you change everything over to the enemy stat, the active enemy version of it, AC, then all that's left is for you to add your pictures. So I'm going to just import an image over here. I've already got these selected. I'm going to do Hawk. Alright, and so we just line this up with Hawk. Make sure the width is right. And now, if you want to crop something, if you hold the Alt button, you crop. So that, I don't know if you know that, but it's a very handy thing to know how to do. This is how people actually set up their windows for Fantasy Grounds, so that you don't see the whole Dungeon Master's side of things. You can just show them individual sections. That's how I do it. You can show the whole section, and if you're going to do that, well, let's finish this picture off first. So you lay it over top, line it up, and then you just want to hold, click, and you want to drag this down underneath the overlay. There we go. Now they're behind. Alright, and then you just repeat that for all of those and your picture. And then, yeah, let me show you how to get Fantasy Grounds up there. So, we want to add a new source. Game capture. I've already got it up here. Fantasy Grounds, but you would choose add a new source. And then automatic should detect the game. So there's Fantasy Grounds, and so you can see everything there. If you want to show everything, I'll show you that first. You can hold, or you can shrink this down to where you need it to be. So they probably don't need to see this little sidebar here. So if we're going to cut something off, it should probably be that. And we just adjust this to where we want it to be on our overlay. Make that a little bigger. Crop that down a little bit. There we go. And then we just throw that underneath the overlay. So click, drag that under the overlay. And there you go. And if you're going to do the whole screen here, that leaves you open to you can put like your logos and game information over in this section. If you want to patch off that black area, you can add a new source as a color source. And we're just looking for something close to what this background was. And we do something like that. And we can drag that behind the overlay. And there we go. It's like it's not even there. You can color match it better, but that's how I would patch that little hole there if you wanted to use this full screen. If you did not want to do that, how I've set it up, I've basically just cropped it so you could only see this little section. So first off, this Fantasy Grounds is shrunk down to, I think it's like 65% to do this. You will lose some like quality in the picture though if you do it this way. But so you hold Alt, and we can shrink it down to just this. Just that. Now I've got everything positioned so that this works out perfectly. But if I expand this, you can see that everything should fit in here almost perfectly. Move it up. There we go. So that's how I have mine set up. And I think that's pretty much it. You guys should be able to play around with that now and do something yourself. I've got tons of overlays, so for all the different amounts of players that you'd have using this theme. But I've also got some different elements as well. So if you wanted to create your own stuff, we also have, let's go to my desktop. So I've got like this gold version of the jewel frames. There's a enemy frame where you can actually put like a picture of an enemy in there. Yeah. There's lots of things you can do with this. Alright, I'm gonna call it there. Hope you guys enjoy. Cheers.